Evening all, welcome back to Total Dust, and today we're going to show you, dust. I oversold that, didn't I? Welcome back, and I think really today is just a continuation of the discussion about 1.10. That obviously hits next week, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of that, and I think there's some pretty good things going on. Do you know what? It's becoming very difficult to be negative about Dust at the moment. I know, shock flipping horror. There's obviously a few challenges around certain things. Let's talk about them. Number one is that there doesn't appear as if there's going to be anything this year at FanFest about Dust or even Legion, which is a shame. I think if I could implore CCP not to do that, that would be good. I know that they probably have this kind of reality that at FanFest, die-hard fans go, and 90% of the die-hard fans are probably EVE players. I mean, that's just the way it is. So yes, I can understand if you do a Dust keynote or a Dust discussion, you may not get a lot of people. Plus, if they're sort of now kind of hinting that this is the way forward, etc., etc., I kind of get it, but it's a shame. I think don't have a keynote then. Just have a 2-hour slot where they just show my videos over and over with food and drink and weapons and battle axes left around, and let's just see what happens. That'll be a really interesting social experiment to see what happens. I kid, of course, but it would be it would be pretty cool to do something. Even if, I think they said they're doing round tables, but seriously, I have zero interest in what some neck beardy man has to say about sniping, because that's all he frickin' does. I don't care. And to be honest with you, I think the developers, maybe it's the way to think of it, is the developers probably could do with a break. They've done such good stuff. It's very, very difficult to sort of be critical of Dust at the moment. I know there's a few challenges here and there, but if you're the kind of person who's raging about, Dust and that, it's probably because they've changed something that you like. But, again, I do want to kind of draw this out. It happens all the time. It's like the amount of times that I've run a Flaylock got nerfed, a laser rifle, it got nerfed, the assault rifle, it got nerfed, assault suits, they got nerfed, heavy suits, well, never really did get nerfed, the scout suit got nerfed, the Mimitar scout got changed, everything kind of changes. Shotgunning, which is what I used to do, got changed. Now it's ridiculously good for if you're using aim assist, terrible if you're not. So you can't really win. It's kind of ironic in a way, because I think you just have to accept that everything changes. So, if you're the kind of person that will rage about a computer game that changes and therefore you are displeased at this, then I'd just look at your life, bro, because at the end of the day, this is just something that completely confuses me at times. Yes, I rage at this game because I'm frustrated that my skills aren't great or somebody's being a douche. But, when I walk away from the screen, I then think to myself, how can I manage my empire? And how can I do this? And, I must do that in Elite Dangerous. And do you know what? I fancy a cup of tea. Cake. And I think unless you can't let yourself be bothered by this. And I would just give you a bit of a marker. If something like, a changing of your suit in a computer game fills you with so much rage that you're unhappy and fed up, then look at your lives, bro, because don't be like that. You're a human being. You're a wonder of modern miracle science. Don't get upset because somebody takes your scan radius down or makes your heavy machine gun less range. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So, what's going on with me lately? I'm sure you're thinking. It's like, what, are you on drugs? Is there something wrong with you? Have you had electric shock therapy to your brain? Well, you wouldn't be a million miles away from the truth. But the reality is that when something becomes hyper-competitive, it becomes also very frustrating. And PC did that for me. PC, gave a massive group of spurging dickheads a platform to kind of, I guess, get very serious about the game. And if you've ever, if you're a purveyor of our content, from day one, we have been sat here having a bit of fun, trolling and having a laugh. And I think it's a very different mindset. I know I say it a lot, but win outside of the computer game, not in. And I do mean that. Real life is where you want to win, not here. So I'm not going to say any more than that. I think at the moment, yes, you get frustrated at things. Yes, I've even got frustrated at stuff in my videos before. But it's always been a bit embarrassing when I look back on it. It's always a bit like, what's wrong with me? Why am I getting upset that they're changing the profile of the shotgun? In reality, does that matter? No. So I think this is something I would really stress. Let's keep the game fresh. And I think with certain things like I'm glad they didn't just literally say the way to fix spawn pad camping, like what we're doing, is just to make it so you can't drop it above a certain height, blah, blah. I'm really glad that they used an innovative and new content approach to do that. So I really would hope that CCP continue that wonderful, wonderful approach, because that to me it just shows a very high degree of professionalism, that they have a bug or a problem within the game and they fix it with content so that the players naturally emerge away from doing that kind of tactic. To me, it just shows a very high degree of professionalism. So, GG. So, anyway, I think looking at that, and I think looking at the other content that's coming into the game, it's going to be a pretty interesting few weeks to come. I think it will change the game significantly. So you're not going to see, fast-paced equipment spam switching to heavy suit. You're not going to. That's gone. That's going to go, because you won't be able to do that anymore. At least I hope not at all with a heavy suit. But it would mean that if you're going to run equipment, you have to run an equipment fit all of the game. Otherwise, it will just disappear as soon as you change your bandwidth. I hope so. I mean, I also hope that if you get shot down, you do also lose depending on what suit you come back with. Do you know what I mean? I really hope it does that, because otherwise, it's going to be horrendous. It might make PC battles less laggy, so that's that's a good thing. But then again, who gives a shit about PC? I mean, good lord, what an absolute waste of time and effort and money that whole thing is. So I think it's an interesting kind of development path. I'm really quite impressed with it, and the roadmap that obviously they posted, go and have a look at it if you can. It's a kind of third-party site, I believe, but it looks very good, and I think it's looking quite an interesting few months to come. I mean, again, the fact that they're continuing to develop for at least 3 months is quite cool. I do wonder if they're just literally honing their skills in Legion and that's coming across to Dust, or vice versa. But either way, content is coming in theory to both games, which is very nice. I think just generally it's very, very tricky to be angry at this kind of development and this kind of approach. I honestly I don't think you'll have the moral high ground, let's say, if at any point you're sat there, effing and jeffing about certain things. I know a lot of people are kind of really getting pissed off with things like the scout problem. I know it's still a problem. I know that obviously heavy suits are obviously still a massive problem as well. But I think, there's very little that can be done about those unless you do quite a big change. But, I'd be kind of interested to see what CCP look to change in their kind of areas in terms of content. I have an idea for you, which is the Graviton gun, and it's just literally a gun that if you fire it heavy, you squash the insides of the suit. It's a simple idea. It's from Warhammer 40k, and I always liked the idea of it, and it was like the most deadly gun for Space Marines. So what they did is they basically made it absolutely illegal to own one within the Imperium. And it was like that, so I think that'd be cool, wouldn't it? A scout, and only a scout can carry it, and a scout can sneak up on a heavy, so it's got to be very close range. And then if it's like a little, you press your button and it just like does a little countdown for 3 seconds. You got to keep the thing locked on him for 3 seconds. And then blip, it squishes all the insides and you just see the suit clang to the ground and blood just squish out. See, that's the kind of thing I'd think would be a good counter to heavies. Just saying. But I think there's so much good stuff coming through. Dust is a fun time. It is a fun place. I think there's still some quite healthy numbers. It does feel quite good. Matchmaking doesn't seem to be terrible. We're winning every match we do. I think we only rarely lose 1 or 2, even against some incredibly good players. Well, I'm told they're very good. I'm not so sure myself when I've taken them on, because it's like, what? Do they not see me? Are these guys blind? Are they from last year? What's going on? Look at that, 2 kills. No, I think this is a great example of the game. Look at this little exchange on the roof here. This will probably be a thing of the past once the orbital strikes are in, because every 300 points you can destroy whatever they get up on high to do. So I'm excited. I really am about this, because it does mean the scout is going to become probably a very powerful suit, even more so, because the scout will be the people that are sent out into the wilds near the point to actually destroy their forward bases. So that's going to be cool. And plus with the scan changes, it means you're not easily going to see everything. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I'm so excited I just can't hide it. And I think really the reality is there's going to be some pretty interesting kind of changes of tactics coming. So I think a lot of players are very familiar with the game and they're very used to, as soon as they drop in, they get a drop ship, get up on high with their Logi suit, spam equipment, jump down heavy suit, camp the point, Logis, heavies, etc., win the match. And that's going to change, because the reality is you can't do that. In theory, you won't be able to do that anymore. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. But let's see how it goes. For all we know, it could go completely wrong. And I think, it could just end up being so difficult to get equipment down that the matches become stalled. At the moment, they're very arcadey, they're very fast-paced, and that is at risk slightly. So I think I'm interested to see how that works. I'll give an example. I run drop pads on my scout fit as normal. So every scout suit I run has got 2 drop pads, okay? And I don't change that. So for me, that's never going to change. But there are going to be people who will use a scout suit to drop pads, then switch into a heavy or a whatever, an assault suit, whatever it may be, which will give the risk that anything they drop will disappear. So to me, it's going to be tactically the biggest change to the game probably ever, because they've never really addressed equipment spam. So PC is probably going to get a bit messy while people figure out how to do it again. I think there's also going to be, the pub matches are going to be fascinating. They're just going to be incredible, because they are going to be a real different kettle of fish now. So let's see how they go. I think just generally, the game it seems like and it feels like it's taking a very good way forward. So, just looking at the way, looking at the changes now, I think there is a lovely, so drop-up links will now have a passive scan for 5 meters. So you can't really camp them anymore. Well, you can, but it's going to be difficult, And I really do like these sort of little tweaks that just make the game a bit more accessible. You see new players come into the game, and for some reason they get put into matches with douchebags like us. And all we do is we just sit there and kill them over and over and teabag them. And then you see them leave the battle, and we're like, oh, high five, Eiffel Tower. And then we end up realizing, well, we might have just annoyed somebody who downloaded the game, tried it, and just thought, what the hell's this? So I do really feel sorry for that kind of player. Okay, yes, they're probably in the academy. Chill, I get it. But not always. They could really like the game, play the academy, then they meet us 3 matches in a row. Yeah, that's going to annoy you, isn't it? So don't get me wrong, I do get it. I think there does need to be something maybe done to protect them more. But I think that's already maybe been done. I think increasing the academy war point threshold seems to have helped quite a lot. So we'll see. But I think generally, it's very difficult to be negative about the game at the moment. There is a lot of good stuff coming. I think when you have new content coming, and when you have, when stuff's being developed and ideas are being listened to and done, that is a great game. That's a great development team. That's a great project to be part of. So, absolute GG to CCP to continue the vision that they've had. And again, I never was worried. I know you're gonna find reference points here that will say I was worried. No, I was never really worried, because if you look at CCP and what they did with Eve, yes, Eve has got problems, but I tell you what, it's amazing how their dedication for their brands and brand is incredibly strong. People at CCP are proud to work at CCP. And that's a really nice thing. So it does mean that they make games with passion, and they also make games that they love and enjoy. So, you can only ever get behind that kind of project and those kind of people. This isn't, if you look at certain AAA games out there, you would get the opinion that sometimes there is a real lack of desire to actually do much more. You could say the fans aren't making this game. Assassin's Creed is a good example of that, where you don't, it's just a franchise now. It's just become a long, winding, endless kind of, money machine. And I think Dust and, certainly Valkyrie looks the same, and certainly Eve Online. They're developed with a huge amount of love. And I think it's evident, because there is a real desire to actually, firstly, engage with the people. So, we are in a community where the developers do listen and look at what we do. So we should be quite grateful for that, because a lot of developers don't care and usually would not even want to interact. So that's a good thing. So, GG CCP for that. But I think just generally, the reality is that Dust and Legion, etc., there is a great content, bulk of content and IP there. So fingers crossed it carries on for some time, and it only just gets better. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed that. We will see you next time.